Hey everyone, as always, Dylan Miller Prospect, and welcome to the Tuesday Night Gold Panning Fever, episode number 211, where we're going to go through Paydirt champion for the hardest Paydirt of 2025. If you didn't know who that was, if you haven't watched the video yet, it's going to be a spoiler. It's Gold Baron Paydirt, but I'm not panning out one of his Iron Death bags. Didn't want to do that on a live show, but let me see who's here. Say hi to everybody. Who we got? Let's see. All right. YouTube's just not working. Bierman, how's it going? Thank you for joining the show. Alan Curie, how's it going? I see your package is taking a very, very scenic route to you. It's like one state over from me. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. And, a week, it's one state over. A3 Sky Warrior, what's up, Rich? Who else we got in? Joey Brown, thank you for joining the show. Appreciate it as always. Shane Prothero, Stephen Wilblanc, Casey Sring, how's it going? Ryan DeQuinn, HD, what's up, brother? Thank you for being here, and thank you both for being mods. Tomcat Josh, how's it going? Mentally Corrupted, how's it going? I still need to email you back. I don't know what's wrong with me. Dean, how's it going? Jason G. Digging in Florida, how's it going? David Stocks, Donna, how are you? And thank you for being a mod. I appreciate it. And David, thank you for being a mod. Gold Baron Paydirt, thank you for being a mod, even though you're technically not a mod. Don't do anything. Aaron Mack, how's it going? Richard Dow, James Doughty, Whiskey Lover, what's up, brother? How you been doing? Any news on the bottles? Without saying more than that, let me know. No worries, Gold Baron, no worries. We're just panning out one of your regular bags, the one you actually just shipped to me, so nothing super special tonight. Oh, you're watching Oak Island? All right, there you go. They're going to find everything this week. Midwest Gold Fever, how's it going? SRIP63, Jeff Boge, how's it going? And anyone, if I miss you, I apologize. Just keep talking or chatting, and I'll see you eventually. YouTube's still not showing usernames. I'm going to have to look at that. I was thinking about it today. And this problem with the no username started when I turned off the settings for the live show where they give you points and stuff. I wonder if there's something I can do with that. Let me see. Stream settings. Because ever since I turned off that, it's just horrible. Because not everyone uses their username for that. Let's see. So give me a second. Let me just scroll through the thousands of options that YouTube has that nobody's going to use. Monetization, customization. All right, let's put the leaderboard back on and see. I'll have to remember that for next time, so hopefully it works. Probably not going to work this time, but let's pop out chat. Get everything all set up. So here we go. So hopefully everyone's been doing good and finding some good gold. Gold has just not been moving. Spot price has pretty much been the exact same for a month now, ever since it did its little dip and went back up. It hasn't really done anything, so... David Danderin, thank you for joining the show. Mega Silver Stacker, how's it going? They should just put steel coffer pylons. I have an idea similar to that. I mean, that's 90% of who they could figure out who did it is just the fact that that's how they built the traps in the first place, is they coffer dammed the entire island. At that time, previously, when the original hole was found, there was only so many people that had the technology to actually cofferdam, and they were all in Europe. So, if you think about it, it's obviously it wasn't like, native Indians or something like that. So, pirates weren't doing cofferdamming. They didn't have the means. Pirates didn't have the means to do a cofferdam. It had to be somebody that knew really good engineering. So, and there were some other tidbits too, is like, European boats used to use banana husk to quiet the rocks from moving around in the hulls of their boat for ballast. So, Miss Gamo, how's it going? Thank you for joining the show. Appreciate it. Who else we got in here? If I miss you again, I apologize. YouTube's just not showing me usernames again. Those left behind, what's up, brother? Thank you for joining the show. Appreciate it. If I miss somebody talking, it's because I started talking. And once I start talking, I lose focus. Yeah, we always got to talk about Oak Island. Oak Island and eating, things like that, always up. I do mention gold every once in a while, Brad's Bucky, what's up, brother? How's it going? Vendetta, what's up, brother? How you been doing? There was something I wanted to ask you, but I keep forgetting. I'll have to send you a text, or you can text me. I'm just curious how the small bags are doing. That's what it was. I wanted to know how you're doing with all the like quarter grammars, half grammars, and 3/4 grammars. So, and I need to hit you up too to make me some custom bags. Maybe. We'll have to see if we can work out some kind of deal. Crash, how's it going? Thank you for joining the show. Annie Stevens, thank you for joining the show. See, I just added some bear prospecting to my shelf. I figured, and normally my shelf was just Paydirt sellers who didn't actually sell Paydirt or were out of business. It's mostly just people in the community. But people in the community only sell so much bags of Paydirt or only want to trade so much. Most of the time they make little 1/4 gram bags of Paydirt and I wanted bigger bags. But I decided I might as well start putting all the sellers that are my top 10. So once they get knocked off my top 10, I'll just pan it out. Or maybe they'll close and it'll stay up there. So aliens made all the booby traps on Oak Island. Yeah. I think they would have been a little bit better if it had been aliens. Wesley, what's up? How's it going? Whatful 99. Just Zaxxon in the house. I'm Zaxxon. What's up, brother? How's it going? Excellent. Silver jumped. I know. Silver went up and it's driving me crazy. I was trying to trade a couple people some gold Paydirt bags for some silver bars for my kids' collection. But now that it starts to be like, I don't know if I want to, give up 5 grams of gold for silver, That's not that much silver. Silver tends to have bigger peaks and valleys than gold does, in my opinion, anyway. It's kind of feeling like the Hunt brothers are back at it or something with silver. I don't know. Did did the new Hunt brothers come out and start, buying up all the silver somewhere? I am Zaxxon. Well, that'd be good, Tony. So you should text me, Tony. I might want one for my shelf. I don't have one on my shelf. I wouldn't mind putting one on my shelf. Or my email. You can email me. I wouldn't, if you want to make me a 1 grammer for my shelf, I would pay for it. Yeah, I know, Madeline. I know I'm going to still get something from you. I just, I've been behind, and it's one of those things with my Miller Prospecting email. It gets flooded with, like, oh, we can rebuild your website. We can do this. Do you need SEO? Do you need this? So I tend to get a lot of spam, and when I forget an email, it gets buried on page 2 or 3. So I need to clean it up tomorrow and go through them all. I got to do a lot of paperwork tomorrow, so. What size silver are you looking for? I'm looking for custom bars from people in the community. All 1 ounces, 2 ounces, 1 ounces, 1.5 ounces, and 2.5 ounces. So. I still have the Paydirt somewhere around here too. I still have the Memorial Paydirt. I moved it when I was moving some stuff on my shelf, and I've never put it back. It's somewhere around here. Let me see. Let me see if I can find that. I mean, it didn't have any gold in it. Maybe I'll have to open it and put some gold in it. Here, give me a second. Yeah, I still have the Anita Memorial Paydirt. I'll have to put that back here. I think I had taken it off because I had planned on cutting it open and putting some gold in it, some guaranteed gold, and I just never got around to doing it. And then I kind of figured, well, I don't know if I want later in life, someone cracking it open to get this gold out. So I've been buying a lot of silver. Yeah. Yeah, I don't have anything left. Everything I've panned out. That was too long ago. That was before, I think that was even before I really started collecting on my shelf. I think that's when my shelf was just knickknacks at the time. Silver should be over 100 ounce. Yeah, silver's getting up there. I think the main problem is gold is so expensive now because it used to be, gold wasn't, that far off reach compared to silver. And, gold is just, you know, it's not even so much that gold, the disparity between the two is so wide. It's the fact that people are still making the same wages that they were in, 40 years ago. Minimum wage hasn't changed. So, back, 20 years ago and 25 years ago, if you were making minimum wage, you could still save up a month or two and buy an ounce of gold, or a couple months and buy an ounce of gold and a couple of silver. Now, if you're working minimum wage, you can save for 5 or 6 years and you're not going to be able to buy an ounce of gold. I mean, you're just not going to do it, with other bills. So now people are just flocking to silver. Unless silver bar is 10 ounces. I really do like 10 ouncer bars. I got to say, 10 ounces and 100 ounce silver bars are just beautiful things. One of these days, I think I'll have to get like a couple 10 ounces to put on my shelf behind me. I have to get some custom ones. I'll have to see. Maybe I'll get oh, that's so much. That's like $1,000. More than that, because didn't it just hit like 59 or something like that today? Uh, Maybe one day. Maybe I'll get one. Maybe I'll cut down from two and just get one, like 10 ouncer to put on the shelf behind me. I know it's still pretty much. It's the one thing that guarantees me I will watch. I mean, I love Jason Flower Gold Wizards, and I end up watching all his videos. Sometimes it might take me a month or two. Then I just watch them all in order. But anytime he does ones where he gets your gold in, I watch him to see what he gets. So 60.7, $61. I looked at it. What was it? I looked at silver because I have silver stacks for my kids, and I was going through it to make sure everyone had the same amount because I don't want them fighting once I'm gone. Don't want them fighting. I actually kind of do, but I was going through to see what I was missing, and I was looking to see. So I guess it was yesterday or the day before yesterday. And it must have been yesterday. $58. So it's gone up $3. Yeah, it's the new. Yeah, I'll have to. My problem is, though, I sold off all my gold, so I have no gold to trade until I start getting more gold. And as fast as silver is going up too fast at the rate that I'm getting gold in, so I might have to part with some money, which would really suck. I don't like parting with money. Silver Paydirt? No, I don't think. I don't ever think silver Paydirt will be a thing, just because natural silver is way too rare. I mean, you almost never find real natural silver anywhere. And the price, it is astronomical. So then you're either going to have silver shot, which is not fun to pan out because it's just silver shot. It's boring and ugly and, it's not fun to pan. And then you get the crystalline silver, which is about, you'll pay a little bit more than spot price for it, but it's such a pain because it just breaks up. It's just too fragile. It breaks up in the pan, and it's just horrible to pan. I love crystalline silver. I think it's beautiful, but panning it is just horrible because one, it breaks it and just tears it all up. If you only put silver in there, it'd be okay. Yeah, I still think, like if you look at crystalline silver, when you see a nice big piece like that, and I know for a fact that people have made silver Paydirts and put them in bags of Paydirt, it gets just so broken up. It's just these little tiny pieces of gold, and it's just not as beautiful. So, whereas a small little piece of gold can be beautiful. So, Yeah, it's YouTube is being ridiculous with this, no name. I mean, it took me for a minute for I was like, wait, who's Miskimo? And then I was like, oh, I like Miskimo. Okay. Oh, those left behind. Yeah, so the $79 tier. I know I was supposed to make an announcement about that, and I totally forgot about it. So far, yes, I'm going to keep it in January because I don't have another option to get out and tax people and other things. I can deal with them for a month. But I'm going to keep it in January, but I'm going to have to change it for the gold amount probably. I mean, because gold is just gold is too expensive. So I mean, I've been putting in a decent amount of gold because I've been getting gold cheap, but nobody has sold me any gold in 3 weeks now, and nobody's even asking to sell me any gold. So it's getting harder to buy gold. Like I said, I think a lot of people are just really holding on to it, waiting for something really bad to happen. So, Bradley, how's it going? Thank you for joining the show. I had 500 ounces of silver American Eagle. That's only worse. Yeah, I used to have a really big silver eagle collection, American Eagle collection. It was all graded. It was all graded ones, and I started with I think 68s, filled up the whole collection, then did 69s and 70s, other all different ones that were in there, and then when I became disabled, right before I became disabled, I sold them all to pay for medical bills and stuff like that, which generally is what my life is. I collect stuff, sell stuff, pay for medical bills. I might make up another bag with an ounce in it. Oh. Now you're making me want to drool, but yeah. It's been a while since I've panned out an ounce of Paydirt. That would be a fun bag. So, but yeah, tonight we're just doing a 1 grammer. 1 grammer from Gold Baron Paydirt. Again, if you haven't watched it, I just put out a video for the hardest Paydirts in 2025. There wasn't a lot of contenders. I really wanted to add some other ones in there. Clash. But Clash stopped selling his hardest Paydirt. He only put it in a bundle, and I wasn't going to spend $200 to get 1.5 gram bag of Paydirt. A couple other sellers stopped really selling, and they do have sellers that sell hard Paydirt, or they say it's hard, but they don't, it's not listed as a difficult bag of Paydirt. So I really wish 9-finger mining would start selling. Maybe, someone like Vendetta could go and do a collab with 9-finger mining and, get some of his gold and just put it in his own Paydirt, I mean, you're buying the gold from him, so that's all the collab there would be, other than you put the name on there, Mm. Do you take IOUs or sourdough bread? I do take sourdough bread. If it's real sourdough bread. Almost nothing out there is real sourdough bread anymore. Oh, he did? Mike, I'm gonna have to. Mike didn't even tell me about that. I wish. Maybe he did. I'll have to check my text and make sure he didn't text me. Yeah, that was my half of my batch. Yeah, those were nice. I had to sell. Those were all the non specimen gold I had. So, but yeah, hopefully some people got some good ones and got some good deals on it. So. JP, what's up? How's it going? Thanks for joining the show. And no, I don't want to be spammed. Thank you very much. Yeah. Lindsay, how's it going? Thank you for joining the show. Appreciate it. But yeah, I'm bummed I missed it though. That was yesterday. I'm bummed I missed it. I'm gonna have to. He has a couple more of my pieces coming his way that's lost in the mail. I didn't even look today, but it's been lost in the mail. It seems like everything I've been mailing out lately that's gold has been taking its sweet, sweet time through the post office hands. It's almost as if like they're like playing with it and holding on to it for a while. So he did a mail call too. What the? Why didn't I get a notice for that? Here, let me look it up. Why did I not get? No, okay, wasn't on that. So that's good. But yeah, I'm gonna have to text him because I need to text him and ask him about the stuff that I sent him last time. That seems to be lost in the mail. So luckily it's insured though. So Rocky Mountain, how's it going? Thanks for joining the show. But all right, we're gonna start panning. I'm not gonna have a long show tonight. My son is here, and he's hungry, and I can't cook dinner until I'm finished doing this show. So you know, the longer I'm panning, the hungrier he gets. And, you'll start hearing him bang on the floor later. Me hungry. Yeah, YouTube is just horrible. YouTube, I don't know what they're trying to do. I don't understand YouTube stuff. I mean, they keep putting out all these announcements like, oh, do you want to be top fans and stuff like that. But then they go and jack up everyone's name so you don't know who this is. So I've been on YouTube doing lives for 4 years now, and I know, all the names. I know Tony is Tony. I don't know Miskimo as his name. But all of a sudden now in the last couple of days, it's just people's random names. So Dina, thank you very much. YouTube just seems to go backwards all the time. I don't know why, They add these things because they're trying to become more like Twitch. They want to get all the people from like Twitch to come over here. But then they jack something else up when they do it. So, and Dina, thank you for joining the show. Appreciate it. But all right, we're going to start panning. I'm going to set everything up. So I'm going to move the camera to the water. See if I have it. Wait, hold on. What was that? I saw nuggets in chat. Fried nuggets. Oh, you got that one? I still have, I will say, I haven't sold off all my collection. I do have a couple little pieces that I have two really good heart ones. People have guessed on them already. So I've kept two of the heart ones that they're absolutely my favorite. I actually bought another matching one, the broken heart. I think it was last month or the month before. It was a month before's gold guessing one. It was the broken heart I had. I think it's like a 4.5 grammer. I just bought a matching one. Looks identical to it, and it's 3.5 grams. I've pretty much decided that I'm only going to collect really, really obvious heart-shaped ones. And then I wanted ones that weren't specimen, really, because the specimen ones just cost too much, and it's too hard to sell them unless you go on Whatnot or stuff. So, but that's awesome. I was hoping, because I know Mike had told me he was going to sell them on Whatnot. I was hoping they'd go to good people, because you just don't want somebody random touching your gold after it's been in your collection for a while. I don't want them to be like Dave, throwing them in their cheek and sucking on them for a while. I want them to put them on a display somewhere. Yeah, I'm asking Tony that. Well, what they're doing is they're showing the and, which is what your sign in is. So it's just most people don't know that that's their name and they can change it. So they just, it lets you have an and one, which is where when you log in at the top, like if you go to your particular channel, even if you don't have a channel, it'll say YouTube/and Dina Littlehale. But you can have a username that could say Dina is the best. That could be your username. Oh, don't ask Whiskey Lover what his favorite sipper is. It's going to cost you a pretty penny. I watched a live this afternoon and it used my name. Now tonight's using my handle. Yeah, they do it randomly. I don't know if they're trying to just to me, it makes no sense. Like Wesley, I know his is Watful 99, but 90% of the people won't know that. So it's kind of, I don't know. But Donna, thank you very much. Midwest Gold Fever, thank you very much. Dibberson, what's up, brother? I saw your, I couldn't understand a word you said, but your recent metal jam out, your rock jam out, that was pretty good. I turned on the subtitles afterwards, and I was listening to it for a little bit, but that was good. Much different than panning Paydirt, Dib. Eagle Rare 10-year. Ugh. Do you have a home power sluice? No, I don't. I pan everything out. I've done reviews on a whole bunch of stuff. Dream Mat sells some really good recirculating sluices that if I had to recommend anything, I would say Dream Mat, the Boss Buddy, or the whatever. They have two of them. It's like the Boss Buddy and the Buddy Sluice. Whichever one is the cheaper one is the better one. Either one is good. I mean, I just think the bigger one might warp eventually. Yeah, of course I saw that, Dib. I thought it was awesome, brother. You were rocking out. No. But yeah, I would either one from Dream Mat, the Boss Buddy or the Buddy Sluice. Both of those are really good. I mean, they'll catch the gold. I just prefer panning. That's why I got into this, was for panning, and I'm always going to pan. So when I used to drink, Eagle Rare was my favorite. When I used to drink, everything was my favorite. All right. Well, I appreciate you being in here, Rich. I always appreciate that. I was lucky enough to have it. Yeah, that's one of the problems is like a lot of people, like I couldn't probably put, Dylan Miller in my title anymore. So a lot of people have to use really weird handles. That just does not compute for people like me who can't remember names unless it's right in front of them. So, but all right, let me shrink down my ugly mug because we can keep talking while we're panning. And I do need to get to panning, so we can get out some of this Gold Baron Paydirt. There we go in the sink. Probably should put a pan in there, huh? There we go. Bam. All right, get rid of the ugly mug. Give y'all a break from that for a little while. And again, thank you very much, Donna. Thank you, Midwest Gold. Appreciate it from both of y'all. I really do. And then now that we're going to be panning the mods, if you want every few minutes, if you want to drop the hidden link, please make sure, everyone, you go and leave a comment on the hidden link. We will be having the Wheel of Treasures tonight. I actually added a bag of Paydirt on there. It's one of the Christmas bags from Brad's Bucket. It's only got an eighth of a gram of gold, but it's an eighth of a gram of gold. And it's free if you win it, so can't complain about that. But all right, let's start moving stuff around. All right, let's see. Move some stuff around, slap some gloves on to protect me from this cold water that's been sitting in my sink for a few hours now. Open up chat. I just got off antibiotics, but I couldn't drink before that because I don't like it, so I gave that up. All right. Let's get tablet open, see if it's charged. Dropping it in the water. Well, the thing is, Dib, is I didn't try. I just listened to it because I was jamming out to the music and I didn't do the words. And it wasn't until after when you sat down and you were just hanging out talking, I was like, oh, let me put on the the translation and see if it works. And it worked. I mean, I don't know how great it worked, but I was just listening to you talk after that. But then I didn't go back to listen to the song because you sang it. It was like you wanted it, so I used to listen to Ramstein when I was younger, so I'm used to listening to stuff that is not always in English. So, all right, let's see if I can find this. Oh yeah, Kentucky has all the distilleries. And it's funny too, every time I go, like I went to Elizabethtown not too long ago and I was like, oh, it'd be nice to go on some of these distillery tours, but then I'm like, no, they want you to drink, and that's like, I don't want to be paying for something that's expensive because they're going to ask you, giving you free booze, and I'm not going to be drinking it. So, all right, let me see. All right, finally got the tablet open. Yeah. And let's see, I got it add. All right, there we go. Tim, thank you for joining the show. Appreciate it. And anyone I miss, again, thank you for joining the show. I really do appreciate it. Don't always see everyone's name in here. Yeah, sadly, yeah, you have to live in the States. If you were a Patreon member, I would probably ship it to you. Um, but shipping overseas is just too expensive. The minimum it costs me to ship anything overseas is $16. So that just starts jacking up. Whenever I used to have where I would ship anything overseas that weren't Patreon members, it was costing me 3 times as much because more for whatever reason the odds were just in the favor of people who did not live in the United States. So Griffin Skio, hold on, let me write that down so I can sub to it. And also going to be doing a mail call for you, Dib, this week. It should be out Saturday. Yeah. PA Patriot, what's up, brother? Imagination to Form, what's up? How's it going? And again, everyone, tonight we're doing some Gold Baron Paydirt, who just won my first of this year's championship battles for the hardest Paydirt of 2025. Hopefully next year when I do this again, next year it's going to be even more. Originally, this was not what I had planned to do. I had planned on just doing a regular Paydirt battle. But things happened. People were figuring out my secret shoppers. People were doing things. Paydirt sellers know that this is about when I was buying for championships. So they're lowering prices, adding more gold. So decided just to change it up and add a couple just, best Paydirt seller, hardest Paydirt seller, things like that. Next year, though, I plan on a couple more different ones. Wrench, what's up, brother? And thank you very much, Wrench, for being back a Patreon member. I'm going to keep the $79 tier this month and next month. I might do away with it later, but you're safe for December and January if you want to be a $79 tier member. All right, let's get started. Now, this is just the regular Paydirt. It is the 1 gram bag. It is not the super hard to pan out stuff. So this shouldn't take too long. Lurking, what's up, brother? Thank you very much for that, Wrench. I appreciate that, brother. Sheldon, what's up, Mark? How's it going? Thank you for joining the show. Appreciate it. Appreciate everyone that's here. I really do. So I've started next year. I'm gonna start doing my Tuesdays a little bit different. The weeks that I have my kids over, I will do shorter shows. So they'll be like this: 1 gram, 1 pound bags of Paydirt. But on the weeks that I don't have my kid, which is every other week, I'm gonna do much bigger bags of Paydirt. So I'll be doing 5 pound bags or bags with a lot more flower gold in them, things like that. I might even try things like the Iron Death bag on live shows with when I don't have my kids. So I have all the time. I can do much longer shows. So shows when I don't have my kid, when I do have my kids, it'll probably be like an hour and a half show tops. But then the weeks that I don't, I'll start doing 3-hour shows and longer. So yeah, Brad, just give it all away. Yeah, it's a good thing. So I think honestly, I think, the Paydirt itself wasn't too hard with the Gold Baron Paydirt, because if you watch the video, I think so I obviously I do the editing for it, but for the Brad's bucket, the total length of panning I think was like 30 minutes or something like that. Not even that, I think it was 20 minutes. But the Gold Baron, from the point where I was just doing this to get it down into my finishing pan, was only 30 minutes. So the getting the heavies or the light material out wasn't really that difficult with the Gold Baron. It's just when you get down to nothing but the tungsten, that's when it gets to be, that's the huge pain. And what takes all the time is the last couple little bit of black sand and the tungsten. So I think I spent just as much time just trying to get the gold out of the tungsten as I did with all the rest of the material. So even if it would have been a pound and a half, it wouldn't have probably taken that much more time. I mean, I'm still glad I got a smaller bag, but dang, Tomcat. Sorry to hear that, brother. Hopefully you're getting better soon. Oh, so you're going to start putting tungsten in it too? You just need smaller gold. You need minus 40 gold. Your gold was too big. And then I'm not even, I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of tungsten. I think you can make a really hard bag of Paydirt without tungsten. Um, I even remember when Double Black Diamond came out. I was on one of the live shows and I was complaining about the tungsten um, to Mike, and I didn't think Mike was in the show, or maybe I didn't know, but I was complaining to him about that, just because tungsten's not really natural in most Paydirt. But the material he was actually getting at the time did have tungsten in it. I'm sure it's just like natural gold. There's maybe one speck in the whole bucket, but it still was natural. So him adding some wasn't really cheating, in my opinion. So, but it did, it did, Wesley. Like you don't see it on camera, because I think what I did was, at one point when I was taking breaks from the Gold Baron, what I would do is I'd take the pan out of the water, and when I do that, I could cut and stop filming. I could spend 30 minutes just playing with it to see how it would move and work. Then I could put the pan back, start editing again, like start the video up. And that's what the only way I figured out to finally get the gold to move in the tungsten was by doing that weird little like swirl. It was the only way I could get the gold to sit in one place where I wanted it to, so I could then scoop it out, suck it out. But it was a pain, and there was so much of it in there. But well, I'm not going to tell you all my secrets, Brad. I'll sell you a bag one day. And you go pan it out and see. I mean, I will say, like, all you have to do is, it's the gold. The gold is 90% of what makes a bag of Paydirt hard. I mean, I know most people will tell you 9-finger mining sells the hardest Paydirt. And his is just regular dirt. He's got a little black sands in there. And you also have to remember, too, black sand is just like all other material. It comes in different meshes. You can get minus 100 black sands. You can get minus 50 black sands. I mean, you have to really hunt for it, and you're going to have to pay for it more than likely. But, a lot of the problems with a lot of Paydirts is where they'll say, oh, this is a hard Paydirt. Even companies that aren't claiming it's hard, but they'll say it's a more difficult Paydirt. When you go and you use a magnet on it to check, you'll see that the sands themselves, like the black sands, are chunkier. It's a bigger piece. So it's just going to roll out of the pan fast. But the finer something is, the harder, more it'll settle in with the gold. And you get some of that like ball mill gold that's super fine, and it tends to be flatter, so it'll move more, minus 1,000 gold, and You know, almost nobody's gonna be able to pan it out, you know. Pint size in the chat. Well, welcome, pint size. I appreciate it. But yeah, there's a lot of ways to make Paydirt difficult. You can have really fine gold, really fine material, and it doesn't even have to be black sands. You can put blondes in there that are really fine, you know, just to have somebody to pan out stuff, so they have to separate the different levels. Clay, you can put clay in it. I'm not a huge fan of clay, and I wouldn't probably buy it if it had clay in it. If you told me it had clay in it. Organics, just how silty the water is. So like, if you looked at Gold Nugget sales during the video, and even Brad's bucket, I mean, I'm not Brad's bucket, even the Gold Baron's Paydirt, it was the cloudier of the three, but it didn't really cloud it up. So you could add, so like if you look at the Gold Baron Paydirt, it was all black sands, 95% black sands. But if you would have made it 75% black sands and then added 25% of something that's super, super silty material, as soon as it hits the water, it turns your water, you know, into mud. That's going to make it more difficult because you're not going to be able to see the material as much. And then you're just working off a feel, and feeling flour gold is much different than feeling, you know, bigger pieces of gold in the pan. So what's up, Jason? How's it going? Thank you for joining the show. Appreciate it. You see, I got Tony in here. So, yeah. And then, like, you know, no magnetite. A lot of sellers still put in magnetite, which doesn't make any sense. Like I had, the last time I did a really hard Paydirt, I don't remember which one it was. I used, I'd gotten black sand and I just separated all the magnetite out of it. So all they were getting was hematite. So they couldn't cheat with the magnet. So thank you very much for that, PA. John McClellan, thank you for joining the show. Banshee, how's it going? Thank you for joining the show again, 2 weeks in a row. Woot, woot. John R, how's it going? Thank you for joining the show. But yeah, there's tons of ways to make Paydirt more difficult. It's just how much, you know, variety you want to put in your Paydirt to make it more difficult. The hardest part really is the gold, you know. Finding really fine gold is the problem, you know. It's like, even if you go to gold, you know, like gold shops, like, you know, if you go to Liquid Bullion or, you know, Gold Nugget sales or any of these places that are selling gold, they're not going to sell you super fine gold. It's all going to be minus 40, maybe minus 50. You know, most places that get, you know, minus 100 gold, minus 250 gold, they're selling it. They're just bringing it in big quantities to the refineries, you know. They're not going to make little bags of it. So, because you put it, if you, I don't know if anyone's ever bought like really fine gold, but like if you buy minus 100 gold and somebody sends it to you in one of those little plastic envelopes, it's almost impossible to get it out. I mean, it's almost impossible. It just sticks to the plastic and you can't get it out. You know. No. Was that enough info, Brad? Hopefully that helps. And then, like I said, most of those things, most of my suggestions I suggested are a lot cheaper than tungsten. Tungsten is just expensive. You know. I only put minus 60 in the Iron Death, yeah. But I mean, they have finer gold. It's just, like I said, it's just hard to get the gold, you know. But there's lots of things you can do. Like I said, if you add silty material to it to cloud up the water, so it just, I mean, there's some wretched stuff that'll just jack your water up. I mean, you can put in, I don't remember who it was I was panning out. I guess it hasn't been a while, but there was somebody I panned out one time where as soon as you hit the water, water was just covered in essentially pine cone needles almost, you know. You love the powder. There you go. Yeah, everyone needs to hit up Jason for all his fine gold, so. I'm running half of a 5-gallon bucket. Yeah, I've got a 5-gallon bucket full of material right next to my testing rig that I'm going to be using next month. So I'm running 5 gallons of material, so to test. Use the powder gold from Vendetta from processing gold. That's not a bad idea. Yeah, somebody could buy up that. What's that, 45 bucks? What's he selling it for? 45 bucks a quarter gram or something like that? I'm sure if you asked him to buy it all up, he'll sell you it as a deal, you know, so they can just get rid of it. Yeah. I was going to buy some of that, but then I realized, I'm like, well, you know, to make it actually look good in a jar or something, I don't want to spend 400 bucks. I'm too poor for that, you know. I will tell you, one of the reasons why I've been so behind on all my videos is I have been insurance hunting because my insurance just got horrible for next year. I mean, it was just my health insurance was tanking. I mean, it wasn't going to cover anything next year. And I'm getting older. I need better insurance, not worse insurance. So I spent every day. And when you call an insurance company, they don't let you just say, like, hey, this is what we're going to give you. This will take 5 minutes. They have to ask you 1,000 questions. Every medication you've taken, every surgery, when it was, this one, that, before they will even give you a quote and tell you how much your insurance is going to be. So everyone, you know, called Blue Cross. That was 4 or 5 hours on the phone, you know. United, 4 or 5 hours on the phone. It was just driving me crazy. And I'm calling everybody. I was calling every insurance company, writing it all down to get the very best deal I could. So how about a gram of -1 or -100, 200? Yeah, and it's a tiny little pile. It's a tiny little pile. I had 10 grams. I had 10 grams of it. So, and I just sold that off. So, Aqua Donkey panned out some gold powder. It looks surprisingly easy. Yeah. You just never know. Like I said, everything is different, you know. It's really about finding the material. Like I've had black sands before that, like fine black sands that just move. And then you'll get some that just, because everything has got a shape to it. Like if you look at sand underneath a microscope or salt or anything like that, they're not round. You know, it's not little balls. They're, you know, little hexagon and dodecahedron shapes. They're all these weird little shapes. And if you get some black sands that have been, you know, really rough, they tend to stick together, where ones that are smooth will move out of your pan a lot quicker. So, like I said, there's tons of ways to make Paydirt, you know, more difficult. And if you think about it, you could buy, like I actually just bought, I think, what did I buy? Was it 20 pounds? 20 pounds of black sands for like 20 bucks or something like that. But it was all magnetite. I wanted it all magnetized, so it was all magnetite, 20 pounds for like 20 bucks. You know, the tungsten is just too expensive. Tungsten used to be cheap, like, or cheaper. Now it's just too expensive, I think, to use in Paydirt. But did you get your package in, Vendetta? I didn't look. I didn't look to see if it delivered. I saw it was taking its sweet, sweet time getting to you too. I sold some stuff to Mike like 4 or 5 days before you, Vendetta, and he still hasn't gotten that package. Like, I don't think it still hasn't gotten there yet. Everyone's asking Vendetta. It's like, Mike's in the chat. Ask him all these questions now. I can't even melt my tungsten into the sun. Use it. Just like I said, you can add a little bit. Like I said, I thought Gold Baron used way too much. Because considering like how much was in there, I only missed, you know, like 1/10 of a gram or something of gold out of it. And that was just one go. That was not me going back and repanning everything out. And I knew I was going to miss some just messing with the tungsten. But he could use 1/4 as much as he did and save the other 3/4 for your sell time. Yeah, go on eBay, brother. There's people that sell it all the time. Hematite, magnetite, beach sands. I used to have a guy I could get beach sands from Nome, but I guess he moved because every time I emailed him for a while. But I used to get large priority mail boxes full of just Nome beach sands. And I finally ran out, and now I can't find anybody to sell me any that's not, you know, ridiculously priced. You'd be amazed though. You start looking, like if you go on eBay and look for like beach Nome sands, they sell you like an 8-ounce little bag of it for like 20 bucks. It's like, no, I need a full box of it for 20 bucks. Yeah, I always wanted to collect those little cubes, where you get the cubes of every single, like the zinc and the iron and all those things. But gold jumped up too much in price. I should have done it when gold was like $40 a gram. But I waited too long. So used to be a guy in Cali called Black Salmon. Yeah. Yeah, you can definitely sell anything. I mean, there's people on Etsy that sell like beach sands from all over the world. And it's probably not from all over the world. They're probably all from the same place, but There used to be a guy in Arizona that sold rocks. Let me know. You're trying to don't give away all my caramel. Didn't I help you about the subscriptions? You send me all those caramels. Preferably sugar free. Curtis, how's it going? Thank you for joining the show. Appreciate it. And again, everyone, tonight, as the mods keep dropping the hidden link, we'll be picking one name at the end of the show from the comments of the hidden video. And we will spin the wheel of treasure, and you can win a prize. There's everything on there from copper rounds to a eighth of gram bag of Paydirt from Brad's Bucket, who's in chat now, and he'll tell you how great that bag of Paydirt is. It's a wee little bag of Paydirt. Got a 1/2 ounce silver hexagon from Cajun Bullion. That's actually probably worth more than the Paydirt, but you win that on there. So there's some good prizes on there. I do, Brad. They do make sugar-free caramel, though. I don't know what it is. It's not real caramel, but, just like they make sugar-free chocolate. And it was more of a joke. Those caramels, the last ones you sent me, lasted about 30 seconds. The faster I can eat them, I can then say, what caramels? There was no such thing. Lots of butter. All right. We'll just put it all in there. Yeah, but next year I'm going to start getting bigger bags. I need to do more research because so far, like Vendetta is really the only seller I know that sells consistently big bags of Paydirt. A lot of the other sellers, like Gold Nugget Sales, who I love, to get his 3-pound bags, you have to buy 3 grams, and I can't always afford 3-gram bags. So I need to compile a list of all the sellers that sell like 3-pound bags with 1 gram in them. So sugar-free sugar. Yeah, those do not last. Yeah. Yeah, sweets in my house don't last long. I will buy them and be like, oh yeah, these will last, like a week, and put them, and then nope. 30 minutes later, it's empty, and I'm like, ugh. A 5-pound bag. See, that's what I need. I need to find all the sellers that are selling 5-pound bags for next year. So on the longer Tuesdays, I can put in, do bigger bags. I don't know what we're panning out next Tuesday. Oh, this last little bit had all the gold in it. So, but next week, I know next week I'm not actually doing a championship battle next week because I'm doing the gold guessing contest. So I don't know what we're going to be panning out next week. Maybe we'll pan out some Vendetta next week. I got a lot of his Paydirt. But we'll find something because next week I will want to do a longer week. And I think the only big bag of Paydirt I have right now. I do have a big bag of Brads. Maybe either Brad or Vendetta, one of the two. Maybe we'll do the Brads next week. All right, where is my? Yeah, add some of that blue juice. Keep your pan nice and good. Very nice shiny. All shiny is good. Flower gold shining, chunky gold. It's all good. It's got some smaller stuff. You might not be able to see it on the camera. It's got some smaller stuff. I know I had to rush order this because I don't know how I got to it, but I had a backup bag for every seller that was on the in the championship. So if Brad would have won, I had a 1 gram bag for him sitting on my shelf. I could pan it out today. I had a 1 gram bag from Gold Nugget Sales if he won, but for whatever reason, I did not have a backup bag for Gold Baron just in case he won. So I had to have him FedEx me or overnight me a 1 gram bag. So just to make sure. And this was before I even shot the video, but I was like, my luck, that's who's going to win. And I had a hunch he would win just based on, I knew what was in the material, I figured, I was pretty sure just based on what I knew about both of the Paydirts, it was either going to be Gold Baron or Gold Nugget Sales. But it's still, next year is still a ways away from me. I don't even think about it. That's too far. No. Yeah, most sellers, a lot of sellers, if anyone is a Patreon member, I do my daily ROI chart where I show the top ROIs and all the best ROIs you can get from all the sellers. And December is typically, even though I think it's a good time for people to buy Paydirt for other people, it tends to be the time that most sellers do run out of stock and close up just because they've got other stuff to be doing. They don't want to be, selling Paydirt is never going to be, like that's what I do for a living. It's always going to be a hobby selling Paydirt, just like it's a hobby buying it and panning it. Family and stuff should always come first. So, a lot of sellers close up shop in December. Had that backup bag? No, I wasn't opening that Stagecoach bag. I mean, I guess I could have done the Stagecoach bag. I could have just got him to send me another one. So I did buy one. So, because I bought an extra one of the Stagecoach bags from my shelf. So there we go. We got some nice chunky stuff. So it's either two meshes. It looks like it's either -40 or chunky, but I don't mind. I like both of those sizes. Yeah. You didn't bring the Stagecoach when I wanted a bag, though. You made me wait a week for that. but that's just on my shelf, so. The other Mike is in chat. We just got all the Paydirt sellers in chat tonight. Gold Nugget Sales is in the house. Brad's Bucket. Gold Baron Paydirt, all three of y'all. Now y'all can duke it out in the chat too. My guess is 1.10. I'm not going to weigh it up because I bought this. I typically only weigh up gold. Like I don't even usually weigh it up. I probably should start weighing it up. But I typically don't weigh up Paydirt or the gold unless it's, somebody that I bought through a secret shopper. Yeah, well, back in the day when it was 70, 75%, there was a reason for that, and that's because gold was only 50, 60 bucks for a gram. So you could spend 75 bucks and people didn't mind. I mean, there's a big difference. Like if you go to a hobby and it costs you 75 bucks, you're okay if you get $50 back. But when you're going to start coughing up 150, 160 bucks and you're still getting the same wages, because you got to think gold was $75, what, 14 months ago? A gram, 75 bucks a gram. 14 months ago, 15 months ago. So essentially 2 years ago, 2 years ago, nobody is getting that much more pay. Nobody's pay doubled in 2 years. So that means some guy who was making 12 bucks an hour, 15 bucks an hour, even being generous. Say somebody was making 20 bucks an hour 2 years ago. They're probably still making 20 bucks. They might be making $20.25 an hour now. That's it. But gold is doubled in price. So people need higher ROIs or they can't justify spending the money on it, you know? It's the amount that you're losing, because before you were losing 25 bucks, you're like, that's not too bad. But now if you were only getting a 70% ROI, you know, all of a sudden you're buying the same bag of Paydirt, but now you're losing twice as much money on it. That's why, you know, which is unfortunate, but it's just one of the ways, you know. And I don't think everyone's expecting 95%, because I think the top sellers are averaging right around 85. It's probably closer to 87%. Like the top sellers in my top 10 are averaging about 87% probably, which is still high. It's much better than the old 75%. But again, you know, gold has gone up. So, yeah, Dib. Yeah, it's just the problem is gold is just going up too high. It's pricing out people. So, yeah. And that's one of the other problems too, is just buying gold. It used to be a lot easier, you know, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, there was a lot of people you could, you know, laying out money to sell Paydirt wasn't that expensive. Like if I wanted to open a business selling Paydirt and I said, okay, I want 50 bags on my shelf, it might cost me 2,500 bucks, you know, back in the day. Now you're looking at 25 grand you got to lay out. You put all these money into bags and everything else, you put them on your shelf. If your Paydirt doesn't sell, then you're stuck, you know? There's a whole bunch of problems with Paydirt, but we're going to get to that. Let me make y'all look at my ugly mug while we talk about it, though. All right. All right, let's get rid of all this stuff. There we go. Shrink down the panning cam. There we go. But one of the biggest problems, now we'll go back to the conversation. One of the biggest problem with small sellers, Paydirt sellers, this is the problem. Let's say you buy some gold, and let's say gold spot is $125. So you buy some gold, say you buy 10 grams of Paydirt, 10 grams of gold. You put 10 bags of Paydirt up for sale, you're going to sell them for 150 bucks plus shipping. So you're going to make 25 bucks each bag. That's 250 bucks. That's nothing to be, you know, cry about. Making 250 bucks pretty good, you know, get you a little something extra for the year. But so things go slow. You know, you're a small time seller, so you're not going to sell it overnight. You know, this isn't Mike from Golden Nugget Sales or Mike from Vendetta where you're going to blow it out in a single day or two. It's going to take you a couple months to sell it. Perfect example is Ferryman Prospecting. Ferryman Prospecting, when he launched, I think he had 10 bags of each bag. And he's been going up for 2 years now, and he still hasn't sold out of all his Paydirt. So things go slow if you're not a well-known seller. Now, let's say 3 months later, you sell your first bag, and you say, okay, that's great. I sold a bag for 150 bucks. You know, then you sell another bag. But the problem is that the gold now is $160. So now it's just, you can't keep afford to buy more gold. You sell a bag of Paydirt for 150, you know, just the problem is people just don't have the money to invest in it. So, you know, Bear Prospecting, how's it going? Thank you for joining the show. You know, selling Paydirt nowadays isn't like where people can just hop in and start doing it anymore. So, yeah, you should definitely make that video. And Mike, by the way, you did not tell me you were selling off all my nuggets yesterday, so I could watch and maybe bid on a lot of them, get those prices up. Oh, that's awesome. I'm gonna have to watch that one. Oh, you must have been sipping something at that time. I'll just watch that one just to see what y'all are drinking. Old Mountain Man and Metals. How's it going? Thank you for joining the show. Didn't know. No, that's all right. I do wish. Do you DVR the whole show? I know they used to DVR all the shows on Whatnot. Because I know I used to watch certain people that were crooks, and I'd go back and watch their stuff. Brad. Well, I'll be sipping water. If I hang out with any of y'all, I'll be sipping water while y'all sip whiskey, but I'm okay with that. Bush cookie. You think you can? All right. Yeah, I know. Because when I was doing my video about David Eschmiel and his rip off of $250,000 that he stole from his customers, which he stole from his customers. I'll repeat that. Prospect of Gold and Gems. When I was watching him on Whatnot complaining about, oh, I got robbed. They stole everyone else's stuff. But luckily, I still have a storeroom full of stuff of my personal stuff that didn't get stolen. Only my customer stuff got stolen. I was watching all his replays to see what he said about the burglary every day. We always have good coffee. I will do the coffee. No. Well, I know they do the video receipts, like if you buy something, but they used to DVR the whole shows. Like you used to be able to, I don't know if they still do. As they get bigger, they might get rid of it. But it used to be like you could go to somebody's channel and you could watch their entire show from the day before. So Dr. Pepper and gummies. I do love Dr. Pepper. I'm not allowed, I'm not allowed to have sweets or sugar or, sodas anymore. But when I do get a soda on those rare occasions, it is always a Dr. Pepper. So heck, if I was around GNS, I would probably, and Whiskey Lover or something, I would probably sip some whiskey. So, that would be a special trip if I'm, in Washington State and hanging out next to the pool of gold nuggets. I will definitely probably sip some whiskey. It'd be my only one I sip, and it probably wouldn't be for another 20 years, but for about 20 days, yeah. Brian, yeah, I think most people would sip Brian. When I used to drink, I didn't need an excuse. I really didn't, like, hey, I don't know that person, but I'll drink with them, But maybe one day, we'll have to see how things go. I'm not retiring anytime soon, so. But all right, let me go and make sure here. I will. Not going to be a long show tonight, but let me go make sure that the hidden comment is working. So make sure everyone, as always, YouTube and its affiliates have nothing to do with this giveaway. This is 100% by me, just to give back to people watching these live shows, so and hanging out with me, keeping me company on these Tuesday nights. No problem. And don't wait on that mail too long. They're really slow. It's not going to probably be till the end of January till it shows up. So we got spoiled right. I can imagine he sent you some nice stuff in that last mail call that I saw, that he sent you some bottles of stuff and cookies. He sent me coffee, which I liked more than the cookies, but cookies are always good too. I haven't touched a drink in 13 years. Yeah, I haven't. I'm about 10. I'm about 10 years in. So, but it's just personal choice more than anything else. So 5 boxes. Oh my gosh. He set you up. You're set for a while. Hopefully those 5 boxes aren't already all gone. That's the key. You want to be able to say in 5 years from now, look, I still have some of that left. You don't want to be calling them 2 weeks later saying, ooh, by the way, I might need another 5 boxes. We went through those way too fast. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's why I stopped. Is just mostly just because I was working and my work involved alcohol, so you just tended to drink more than you really should. It'd be like, okay, look, wine purveyors would come by and be like, oh yeah, let me show you the newest selection, and they would open up a case with 40 different bottles of wine in it, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's 11 a.m. I still got to work another 10 hours after this, so. Lifetime, yeah. Everything gets expensive. That's the problem in life. Everything gets expensive. Eating is expensive. I was joking with Liz the other day that, every time I go grocery shopping, the prices go up a couple pennies more. I mean, I buy the same foods. I eat the same stuff every single week. I mean, I'm not eating, caviar one week and lobster the next. I'm eating, potatoes and, salads and things like that, shrimp and chicken. And every week my grocery bill is a little bit higher. And it's like, what? Last week I ordered the exact same 13 things and it was $58. Now it's $60. So, let's see. 1981. That's good, brother. That's good. I know people, it's funny. My original doctor that I had when I moved here, she was like 40. She never. And then my current rheumatologist, she's never either. She's never had a sip ever in her whole life, and she's my age. So I was like, wow, like never. I was like at weddings or nothing, and she's like, nope, just a hoax. What? Yeah, it's a hoax. I do think that is funny. I will tell you, I do think that is funny. There's just, whether you like him or dislike him, I do love the fact that he will, he will come up with anything to say that, I mean, that was one of the things, like the last 3 months he was running, that was all he talked about was affordability, and how, if other people are elected, he's going to make things affordability. And then now that, things are going up, and I'm not saying it's his fault the prices are going up or anything, but they're going up, and you can't run on something and then go the opposite. I love that. It's just a hoax thing. I thought that was the funniest answer ever. I had one that, yeah. Yeah, it's 14 got $112. Yeah, well you're kind of in the a gallon of milk probably costs you $20. You're kind of in the area that's gonna cost you. But if you're still at the Red Dog Mine, I think they pay you more than minimum wage, so the banana, what can it cost? $10. They're getting up there. Even a banana. Well, the problem isn't. So one of the problems with groceries right now, which is my real pain that I don't like about groceries. I understand prices go up, and I understand that, government really can't do anything about that because they're private businesses, and private businesses can do whatever they want. They can fleece America left and right until some other competition comes in. And that's what eventually will happen is big chains from other countries will come in, or someone like Aldi's or one of these other companies will just say enough's enough. Why don't we just undercut everybody and grow? Because that's how Walmart got big. Walmart wasn't the big seller from the beginning. They just undercut everybody and they took a huge loss. Amazon took a huge loss for years and years and years, undercutting everybody. So eventually somebody else will come in with just as much money as Walmart and undercut Walmart, and the prices will go down. But my main problem is that groceries nowadays are subpar. It used to be if you went to the grocery store and you paid 25 cents for, a banana, that banana would sit on your shelf for a week and you could pick that banana up and eat it. Nowadays, that same banana is 75 cents. And if you don't eat it within 24 hours, you're going to have a black piece of mush sitting on your counter. If you buy a tomato that went from, 75 cents to $1.50, that tomato will last you maybe 36 hours, and then it'll start growing brown spots all over it because, Now they're just selling us absolute trash. So that's the biggest problem with me is with groceries is I understand you got to pay more sometimes. It's just things that happen. Things go up, things go down in price. But the quality of food nowadays is just absolute garbage. I mean, even the meat. I mean, they're charging, $50 for a ribeye now. And you go look at these ribeyes and they're just poorly cut meat and just full of gristle. And it's just like, no. My nearest McDonald's is 500 miles. Well, that's good. McDonald's is not good. 2030 will own nothing and be happy. Yeah. BlackRock. What did BlackRock just buy? BlackRock just bought what, 30,000 houses? 30,000 houses, something like that. I mean, they just bought an astronomical amount of houses. BlackRock is investing in real estate now. That should worry everybody. When BlackRock starts buying houses in neighborhoods, that should worry everybody. So, because they're not going to sell them. They're not going to be selling them. They're just trying to increase property values so they can take out loans on them, and then they're going to rent them out, and they don't care if they just go bankrupt, if the houses fall apart later. So what's going to happen is BlackRock is going to move into your neighborhood. Let's say there's 20 houses in your neighborhood. They're going to buy up 5 of those houses. They're going to pay more. So if your house is worth $250,000, they're going to pay $350,000 for those 5 houses. It'll make all the property in the neighborhood go up a whole bunch. So now your insurance will go up, your property taxes are going to go up, and they're going to take loans out on those 5 houses. And they'll rent them for a while until the tenants tear them up and they fall apart. And then they're going to say, okay, well, we don't care because we're BlackRock. We can default on that. But the whole neighborhood then is going to tank, because those 5 houses are going to be a blight on the neighborhood. So now your house is going to be worth $150,000. So you just lost $100,000 because BlackRock moved in, borrowed a whole bunch of money, rented out for a while, and then just took off with all their loans. So if you own property, keep it, Yeah. Subway undercut to get rid of Quiznos. Yeah. I mean, that's how Walmart did it, and that's what other companies will do. Just right now, everyone realized, after COVID, every single company, and that's Aldi and all of them, Walmart, Myers, Target, any single food place, Sherway, they all realized they could raise their prices. And it's been proven time and time again that companies, even though they say they're competition, they all collude together. They all do. It's been shown before, where cheese companies were all getting together to manipulate the price. Beef companies were getting together to manipulate the price. Egg farmers were getting together to manipulate the price and get them. All these companies are talking. Now, it might not be the CEO, but the CEO will tell one of his vice presidents, hey, why don't you call the vice president over here and see if, we can all agree that, eggs should be over $1.75. Doesn't have to be a set price. Some might be $1.75, some might be $1.90, but they're going to set a minimum, and they'll all know about it. So, yeah, BlackRock is. Anytime you see BlackRock doing something, it's bad news. They just own everything. So, big floods here now. Floods coming soon. Yeah. Well, you just wait. I give it like another 5 or 6 years tops. But as soon as gold goes up, once gold hits 6K, they're going to start really making gold mining illegal. They're going to really start cutting down. They're going to start telling you can only, just to keep it down, they'll start doing where states are doing now, where they're saying you can't use any equipment. You can pan only. Because they know, you're not going to be spending that much time panning. A lot of beaches now have already started saying you can't haul out dirt because they knew that's what people were doing. I think in Wisconsin they did that, where you can't haul out dirt anymore because people were just going there once they got told you pan only, and they say, okay, I'll fill a truckload of dirt and just take it home and run it through a sluice there and get my ounce of gold, Things like worry about possibly being on an airway to China when it closes. I grow my own. Yeah, I would love to start growing my own. Originally I'd planned on this year, and I still plan on this year doing some gardens. Unfortunately, I have a lot of rabbits and raccoons and other critters around my area that will eat everything. So I have to build an actual, house to protect all my plants. So it's got to be all caged in. So it just makes it more expensive because after COVID, lumber is just crazy. So So make friends with a local butcher. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's what's going to come down to is eventually people will start, because you can grow tomatoes on your porch, even if you're in an apartment complex. People are going to start growing their own tomatoes. They're just going to start calling up the local farms and saying, hey, how much is a half a cow? You can put a deep freeze in an apartment. You just put it in your second bedroom, or you put it in your living room. You put a deep freezer in there, and you buy half a cow, for a quarter of the price you'd be paying at the grocery store for just meat that's poorly butchered. So, yeah, eggs have gone cheap. Eggs have gone cheap. I think it was because, and what's funny is it's because that's what everyone was harping on. Everyone was talking about eggs just because it was an easy one as an example, showing that eggs still aren't cheaper. Because before COVID, eggs were 69 cents at Aldi's. And, what is it? 8 years later, and now they're, $1.69 at Aldi's. That's an extra buck. That's a little bit too high. No. That's free meat. It is. If I could catch those little rabbits, I would sure be eating them. But those suckers are smart and fast. So. Set up armed defenses. Now, so I'm gonna have to build like a full house to put the gardens in. It's just it is more expensive to do, but in the long run, it's worth it because I eat a lot of tomatoes and cucumbers and stuff. Oh. They've been recovered from the bird flu slaughter. That was just a lie. That was a big lie that they used. See, that was the thing. So if you look at eggs during COVID, eggs prices did not go up. Egg prices did not go up during COVID. They went up a little bit. I think they went from 69 cents to 89 cents, something like that. Not much. I mean, they almost had no influx because most companies don't buy their eggs from far away. So like Aldi's in my town, they buy all their eggs from Indiana. The Walmarts, they buy most of their eggs from Indiana. If you live in Kentucky, most of the Walmarts will buy the eggs from Kentucky because that's how they do it. They get their packaging and everything. They'll tell everyone they have to use these packaging. So eggs did not go up during COVID because they didn't have a supply chain issue. Their eggs didn't have to travel far. But then when the bird flu came around, they realized and they thought about it. Every single product. So if you went to Aldi during COVID, 95% of all the products doubled in price or, went super high in price. Eggs didn't. Eggs were pretty much the standard. They didn't go up. A couple other things didn't, flour, potatoes, things like that. But the vast majority of things. And then the prices didn't drop. When COVID ended, none of those prices dropped. And then companies like egg producers and things like that realized, hey, if something happens in this world or in this country that we can use to say we have to raise prices, then we never have to really lower them. It was shown that certain companies like Eggland's Best had 0 kills. They didn't kill a single chicken. They did not have a single chicken get bird flu. And yet their prices went from, I think at the time they started at $1.59. Their prices were always high. They went from $1.59 to $8.59. And yet they didn't have a single bird die. They had nothing. They are a very well set up company. The average production for most birds, if you look at an actual bird farm, like a chicken farm, they burn through those chickens quick. They replace those chickens every 30 days anyway, because they're just popping out eggs. There are certain breeds that just pop out eggs. So the production from eggs did not drop a single egg during all the bird flu epidemic. So it was just a big thing to get people to, raise their prices, and they got it. So now, if you look at it, even though they've gone down, even though they made millions and billions of dollars over the last 2 or 3 years, now they'll say, oh, now we're lowering the prices, but they're not lowering them down to what they were. They're not lowering them down to 79 cents. They're going to keep them at $2. So they're still making bank, and they'll still make bank for another 5 or 10 years, I have 3 commercials. There you go. But the good thing is, if you have a little pile of gold with you, you can beat inflation in the price of eggs. You just have to buy gold and hold on to gold for a while. Deer processing is my side gig. I'm not a huge fan of deer meat. I like rabbit. I do love rabbit. If I was to have anything, that would be what I would do, is have a rabbit farm. So I love rabbit. Deer is a little bit too gamey for me, so I'm not a huge fan of elk or any of those other things. I like the little ones, like the Eggs by me hit a high of 13 for 18. Now it's 8. Yeah. It's still, I mean, that's what I said. Every company now realize that all they have to do is think up some weird little thing like, like if you think about it, when mad cow disease hit, I mean, this is something, it wasn't like, hey, these birds might die, but you'll be safe if you eat them. This was mad cow disease where if you ate that meat, you were dead too, Meat didn't go up in price like that. Back then, if you had a ribeye, might have been $7.99 a pound. When mad cow disease hit, meat went from like $7.99 a pound to like $8.50 a pound. That was it. I mean, there was almost no influx because they knew people wouldn't buy it. But now everybody's been conditioned from COVID to expect that if something hits, like now people just know in their head, oh wow, bird flu, eggs are going to go up. If all of a sudden they come out with something that, something new, like, the cheese flu. Oh man, did you hear about the new cheese flu? Yeah, all the cheese is getting flu. Oh man, that sucks. Cheese is going to double in price. People just know it now. So people have been conditioned now that they know if something major happens in the world to a certain product, your price is going to go up. So Turkey Sandwich, how's it going? Thank you for joining the show. Elk is better than beef. It might be just, the only elk I've ever had has always been at like restaurants. And generally they're not, probably the best cuts of meat or anything. So curry. I do so that hole is still there. I've been so scared to fill it in that it'll collapse again that I've kind of not filled it in, but I do need to fill it in. 100 pounds. That's awesome. I do love sausage. So I could probably like deer meat or elk meat and sausage. I'd probably almost died from cheese flu. Yeah. But that's what I said is people are conditioned now that they just expect, if something happens that you just expect prices to go up and, it is what it is. Nothing we can do about it. We're all little people just, living our lives. That's the best you can do. As long as you're happy, I try, I pay my extra and, I eat my food and I get happy. So, I just figure out cheaper stuff to buy every week, There must be something because gold went up crazy. Gold is still rising. So gold and silver, there must be some parasite or something eating up all the gold and the silver in the world. So gamiest meat I ever ate was caribou. Yeah. Yeah, the problem with it's everything else we've been talking about is why gold and silver are going up. It's because people are hoarding because they're worried. If all of a sudden we go back, the problem is in the last 8 years, everybody's been talking about the economy is going to crash. One president says if the next president is so and so, the economy is going to crash and we're going to go to depression. The other president who, goes and says, well, if this guy gets elected, we're going to go into a recession and we're going to go into a depression if this person wins. So both presidents were essentially, or both people running for president, were all saying that, for the last 8 years, everyone that's been running for presidency or Congress or anything have all been saying, if the other person gets elected, we're going into a recession, a depression, and this and this. And it's, we're essentially in that. We're in the recession. The dollar doesn't buy as much as it did before. And, layoffs are absolutely horrendous. We've lost, I think, 1 million jobs already this year. So, things like that are happening. People think, well, if I buy an ounce of gold and I sit it there and I suffer and just eat potatoes for a year or two, if we go hit the depression, I can sell that gold and I'll be able to eat for 5 years. A histoplasm from chicken coop. Oh, that sucks. That's why I would never have a chicken coop. Chicken coops are just too nasty. Yeah, gold is going up because, yeah, of course, yeah. It's going up faster, though. It's going faster than the dollar is dropping because the dollar keeps going back up a little bit. So, yeah. Oh, I mean, there's hundreds of reasons why jobs are going down. I mean, there's companies are a lot of, if you look at the companies that are cutting people, It's the big companies like Amazon. Amazon is laying off a ton of workers. And it's because they're filling the job with robots. You know, they're banking on this AI taking over and helping them, you know. So if you look at some of the Amazon warehouses, half of them are already robots. You know, the forklifts are all robots. So, you know, the people have been training them to do their job, and now they don't need them. So, but all right, let's go. Enough talk about, you know, we're here for gold. I want to see some gold. I want to give away something, you know, because the best way to get rid of spending too much money is to win something. So let me go double check, make sure all the names are going through. Oh, we don't want that. I don't even know where I'm looking. Here we go. Let's make sure all the comments are going through. I'm sure HD would have told me if they weren't, but I will double check just to make sure. Yep, and they all went through. So everyone's comments are going through. If one of the mods wanted to drop the hidden link just in case. And again, a hidden link will be popping up on the chat. All you have to do is follow that link, go there, leave a comment on the hidden video. I know, Indiana, I think, isn't this the first time they've ever won? No. Indiana, or it's been like 18 years or something crazy like that. It's been forever. So, and yet, for some reason, it set the city on fire. Yeah, I've seen people's chicken coops, you know, like you see the ones on Instagram and they're all like beautiful. They don't tell you they just spent 8 hours power washing it and cleaning it. You know, they're like, oh, look how nice my chicken coop is. Yeah. You know, it's just like the Instagram stuff. So people get them and then they have a real chicken coop and you see it and they're just like, oh my, there's a lot of poop everywhere. So, but make sure you leave a comment. We're going to do the wheel of names. I will pull one name. And if I pull your name, you must post something before the end of live chat, or within a couple minutes. And then once you post in the live chat that you are here, because you have to be here to get your prize, I will pull a name, pick a prize from the Wheel of Treasures. And it's everything. We'll read off the prizes once we get to that point. But there's a whole bunch of them, including a bag of Paydirt and a 1/2 ounce silver bar or silver hexagon from Cajun Bullion. So you can win some good prizes. You can win some gold, copper. You can win some copper rounds, some gold, some silver, all kinds of stuff. What? We'll let the hidden link sit up there. First time they beat Ohio State since 1988. I don't watch much sports anymore except for the UFC. That's it. I watch the UFC. And every once in a while I'll catch a pro football game if it's a Steelers playing somebody I want to see. So you have to keep them clean. Yeah, see, if you only have, I was reading something a while back where they said, you know, the problem people get into is they start getting too many chickens. They said you always want to just like keep 4, you know, 3 or 4. You can't keep 1 because they'll go crazy. You can't keep 2 because if 2, they don't like each other, they'll fight. So you have to have like 3 or 4 because then they'll make cliques and they'll get along. But they said a lot of people think like, oh, I'll have 24 chickens and sell eggs on the side of the road and stuff like that. And they don't understand all the problems they're going to have. May the best person win. Well, if that was it, I would win, but so, but yeah, good luck to everybody here. We're going to shrink down the ugly mug. Hopefully everyone's had time. Let me go make sure I have the link. Yeah. So, all right, let's shrink down the ugly mug, and I have to move some stuff around. Pan and cam, we got to get rid of that. So we'll get rid of the pan and cam. Bye-bye. And again, oh, and in case you didn't see, I am wearing a Gold Baron sweatshirt tonight. I am going to get next year when it's too cold right now. I am going to get one of those sweet baseball jerseys he has. If anyone hasn't seen a Gold Baron, and a pretty good price too at $75. So, but if you don't want to spend $75 on a sweatshirt, definitely go get yourself a bag of Iron Death, my 2025 Paydirt champion for the hardest Paydirt. That stuff really is hard. So, but all right. Let's shrink down the ugly mug. Maybe we'll see. Oh, wow. What is this website? Oh, this is amazing. Oh, wow. Make sure it's almost Christmas. You still probably have a little bit of time to order some Paydirt or have somebody order some Paydirt for you. And if you do, make sure you tell them to come to Miller Prospecting and my top 10 recommended sellers. I am going to be updating this list probably this week. Next year, I don't think I'm going to have a top 10. I think I'm going to get it down to a top 5 or a top 3 or top 4 or something like that. Unless sellers start keeping more in stock. Unfortunately, half of my top 10 don't keep Paydirt in stock anymore. They're just out of stock all the time. Some of them I really, really love, and I want to buy Paydirt from them all the time. But unfortunately, if you can't keep Paydirt in stock, it's hard to recommend somebody. So maybe I'll have to do 2 lists, like a top 10 recommended and here's some other sellers that might get some in stock every once in a while. But all right, where we're going to go, YouTube random comments, pull this, we're going to fetch this, include replies. Now again, if I pull your name, you must post something in live chat. You'll have a couple minutes to do it, so make sure you're here. So here we go. 57 comments. Let's pick a winner. Good luck to everybody. I wish I could give away 57 prizes, but I can't. So James Stoddy. There we go. Congratulations, James. Now, while we wait for him, I will keep up with chat. Let's see if anybody's in chat. I have a bag of chicken legs. I cannot stand chicken legs. That's like the worst part of the chicken to me. They're cheap, which is the only good thing for them. So, Vendetta Prospecting 2025 Holiday Gold Paydirt. Yeah, I haven't gotten a bag of that. I need to order a bag of that. I did just get in. See, I did just get in. I did just get in a big old bag of Vendetta Paydirt right here. So, got in one of his 100% ROI bags, He posted, did he? Let me see. I don't know if I trust you. Yeah, he did post. All right. Now let's see what your prize is. We're going to go to the wheel of prizes here, even though it's called the wheel of names. It's really the wheel of prizes. So here's the prizes. We have an 1/8 gram bag of Paydirt. It's either going to be, I think I only have one option. It's the Brad's Bucket. So you're getting a 1/8 gram bag of Paydirt from Brad's Bucket if you win that one. 1/2 ounce silver Cajun bullion hexagon, 1/4 ounce silver round. I got 2 Valcambi bars. I think they're 1 gram each. Random silver quarter, random silver dime. Got some Mexican pesos, 10% silver. This is the Mike GNS Kazakhstan. That's the Kazakhstan. I got this from another Whatnot person. Kazakhstan copper nugget. Some copper gold plated copper thing that I got from Mike on Whatnot one night. Even though I don't drink, I must have been drunk or my cheese had slid off my cracker when I bit on that. But you can win it and it can sit on your shelf and you can wonder why. Some NGC 5-cent francs, Miller Prospecting keychains, sticker packs, random rounds, copper rounds. All right, let's shuffle it up. See what you win. Here you go. Good luck. What are we going to get? Is it copper? Oh, it's almost a 1/2 ounce. Oh, a little bit more. Move. Oh, you were so close to that 1/2 ounce copper round. I'm surprised nobody's won that yet, as many pulls as we've pulled, and it's been on that list. So I don't need to remove it, but congratulations. Now we'll go back to the best website on the internet. And then I will make y'all look at my ugly mug full size. So full size ugly mug. So, but James, I will be sending that to you. I don't need your address. I know it off of Patreon, so I will just send that off to you. It'll probably go out tomorrow. Let me write this down so I remember. But congratulations. Now, again, I am going to be doing, so this Saturday, I'm going to be doing a mail call, and I'm also going to be doing the gold guessing contest for December, announcing the prizes and things like that for December. And after that, once we do the mail call, the wheel is going to be much different. It's only going to be 25 prizes on the mail call, on the wheel, but there'll be some much better prizes because a lot of people have donated some prizes to the wheel. And until I do a mail call for them, I didn't want to add them to the wheel. So once I do the mail call this Saturday or Sunday, I've been having some really hard times on the weekends getting my videos edited. So like this last video came out Monday. I am going to try to have the gold guessing contest out Saturday. Just because I'm used to that one and that one's easy to shoot. But the mail call may come out Sunday or Monday. Just because like I said, the weekends I'm having a really hard time getting anything done with the videos. I'm going to have to adjust my schedule. Next Tuesday, I don't know what we're panning. I think we're going to be panning. I think I have a Brad's bucket. I think we're going to pan out that Brad's bucket. That should be a good one to pan out. And then the following week, we'll have another championship. We're going to have a championship, and this will be the big championship on who the best Paydirt seller is. So not this Saturday, but the following Saturday will be the best Paydirt. Who sells the absolute best Paydirt? That will be next Saturday, or not this Saturday, the following Saturday. If I can get my mind right. I'm trying to open up something on my computer, and it's not opening. It's driving me crazy. All right. There we go. I was trying to get chat open. I couldn't get chat open. I got a 2022 ASC that was fake from a win somewhere. Oh, that sucks. Got 3 dimes that were fake. Yeah, there's a lot of fake stuff going around. I'm trying to get a lot of stuff from the wheel. Like I just got in some PCGS dollars in the other day. Just to add to the wheel because they're lower priced, but they're still really cool and they can add to the collection, especially for people that collect little stuff, you know, for the future for their kids and stuff like that. So, but I'm actually thinking, I was looking the other day and I wrote a note that I need to email off. I want to see if I can get NGC to grade me some gold, like find out what the price would be for me to grade some gold if I send off enough of it. So. The best Paydirt is from Dylan Miller. I don't know about that. I haven't done it. I don't think I've done a really good Paydirt in a while. I've done some Paydirts recently, but I think my favorite is still the can, the old tuna can one. That's still one of my favorite ones. So I do have, now again, I will say, so if you're a Patreon member, if you're a $79 tier member, this month's Paydirt is going to be the Krampus bag. So it is going to be, I'm taking a page out of the hardest Paydirt sellers. If you're a $79 tier member, or if you win a bag of Paydirt this month for Christmas, they all are going to be Krampus bags of Paydirt. So they're not going to be easy to pan out. I don't think they'll be as hard as the Iron Death because I'm not going to be putting in any tungsten into them. But they will be harder bags to pan out. So be aware of that. Be aware of that. So. We got a really good deal on 10 grams of gold. Well, that's awesome. You want to sell it to me for just a little bit more? You can make $10. Quick $10, man. You don't even have to put it in Paydirt or anything else. Donna, thank you very much. And thank you everyone for joining the show. Rick Johnson, thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Thank everyone for being here. I really appreciate you all. I am going to have Tuesday shows all month. I originally had planned on taking one off for Christmas, one of the Tuesdays off to hang out with my kids, but their schedule has changed. So I'll be here every Tuesday this month. And then we'll do, like I said, this Saturday, we're going to have the gold guessing contest. So make sure you get in early. This contest is not going to be a nugget. I don't have any more nuggets to my name that you haven't already guessed on. So it wouldn't be really fair to use one that I haven't already guessed on. All my nuggets have now been moved through the chain of whatnot. And so it's just going to be a pile of gold. It's just going to be a pile of gold. So, you know, I don't think it's going to be hard to guess how much gold it is, or it's going to be a lot easier than a nugget, I think. So $10 is a pound of steak. There you go. $10. I mean, you can get a pound of ground meat, some potatoes, and some green beans or some broccoli. You got a full meal for $10 to feed a couple people, you know? No, but then Tuesday, like I said, we're going to pan out some Brad's bucket. That looks like a hefty bag of Paydirt. So we'll pan this out next week. Should take me a while. I also have a couple little bags I might pan out, you know, if we pan it out too slow. But next week will be a longer show. So come back for that. But I'm going to get out of here. Thanks again to everyone who joined the show. I really do appreciate it. And everyone, make sure you go check out Gold Baron. And if you really want a hard bag of Paydirt to send to somebody for a Christmas present, pick out one of his bags of Paydirt, the Iron Death. But I'm going to get out of here. John R. Price, do I get to keep those nuggets? You can send me as many as you want. you can, I'll even let you be a $79 tier member for free so you can guess on them. You just got to send me a whole bunch of nuggets for free. So Now I'll have some next year. I'll have some nuggets to start guessing on again. So just got to get one a month again. So, but thanks everyone for joining the show. I really do appreciate it. And I will see you all next Tuesday. And make sure if you're a Patreon member, Saturday, guess on that gold. But I'm out of here. Hopefully everyone has a good week.